an episode of Talking with Your Mouth Full. I'm here with Shawnee.
Benton-Gibson. Doing this together.
Yeah, she's a great friend of mine. We've known each other for,
I have lost count. Like
at
least 8 years?
Yeah, at least 8 years. We're fellow Libras.
Yes.
Yeah,
October 1st, baby.
Yeah, and we know each other so well because we know because a lot of the characteristics that Libra have, we have them.
Yes.
So we connect on so many different levels of in life that is insane. But the one thing that always stands out and sticks with me is that when I met you, and we were doing something together, and you said, "Is that the truth, or is that the story you're telling yourself?" And I was just like, when you said that, I was like,
did I say it to you?
No, you said it to somebody else,
Okay.
but it resonated with me so deeply that it made me look into myself to say, well, what stories am I telling myself?
Okay.
You know, and is it the truth, or is it a story that I'm making up, that I'm telling myself to get through?
Yes, yes.
Because a lot of times we don't like to deal with the truth.
Absolutely.
And it's,
not even just dealing, it's a lack of connection with what factually happened and then what we make up about what happened. And,
right.
We're removed, and especially if it's happened a long time ago, like in childhood or in our adolescence, and we're seasoned women or men, the relationship with what actually occurred gets more diluted over time. And so we go with what we remember in the moment, the emotions, the people who were involved, and we create this whole world. And if it's evidence to align with what it is that we believe and we want to carry and move forward and rock with, we're going to hold to that and even add more to the story.
Right.
So it's something I don't remove myself from it, like to this day, like in my humanity, I do that. But I'm so aware that when I create that, then I deny myself access to authentic living. So I just make sure that when I'm talking about a situation, I'm like, okay, let me rewind and look at what's true and what's made up.
Right.
So important.
Yeah, because sometimes we make up things and we going off of emotion.
Absolutely.
And not what really actually happened. So, when you said that, and it kind of like stopped me dead in my tracks. And I mean, like in life, so when something happens, I always say to myself, did that happen, or is that what I'm telling myself?
All right now.
So
that's
I'm,
major.
so I'm actually living it.
Yes.
Because of the same thing you said. You said I try to live my authentic life and not just talk about. I try to, not talk about what. Yeah, you be about it. You walk the walk.
Indeed.
Because of the work that you do, you have to be authentic.
Absolutely.
So I totally get that, but I found myself reliving and going back over things, and there were some things that I was stories that I was telling myself.
Absolutely, yeah,
And,
me too.
Because I know, like growing up, in our era, he's like, you telling a story? Is that true? You telling a story?
Stop storying.
Yeah, stop storying, right? Which means stop lying, right? So, but the way that you were saying it, and I was like, wow, that's, that was really deep.
And I don't even remember where that was.
I don't even remember, but I just remember how I felt in that moment, and how it made me look at things differently about, am I telling myself that story, or is that really what happened? And I also try to live like, if I said it, I meant it. If you don't say it unless you mean it.
Absolutely.
And if you say it, mean it and stand in it.
Right.
And I don't like to bend and waver. And this is, I have time to process it, and I'm like, no, this is how I feel about it. Right, wrong, or indifferent. This is how I feel. That's just what it is.
Yeah. This just reminds me of one of the systems or paradigms that I live by, which is the 4 agreements. That's some hard stuff, like, to be impeccable with your word, which is what you're talking about, to actually do what it is that you say you're going to do, and the way you say you're going to do it, and also how you think and function, or how you view stories, that takes muscle and it takes practice, and it's triggering as hell.
It is.
Especially when people are holding me accountable. Like, one of the things before this interview started that I reminded myself of, that's from me being a leader and also a follower inside of the work that I do with women, is being an ambassador of humility. And so I'm like, before you speak a word to Danielle, you know, you need to ground yourself in humility. Like, I don't know it all, I don't have it all, I'm flawed, and transforming every day. So even though I'm in front of the camera and we're having this conversation as a so-called person who knows, like, my knowing is constantly expanding. And so I had to, in the bathroom while I was getting prepared to come out here, it's like, Shawnee, be humble in this space. And so I'm co-creating with you. It's not that I know this or that or the other. It's like, our knowing together is so much bigger than what I think I know by myself. So I'm grateful, you know, grateful.
The one thing that I love about the work that you do and the collaborations that you have with the women that you work with is that you're the teacher one day, and then they're the student, and then the next week they're the teacher and you're the student, and you're constantly teaching each other things that they might have learned and say, oh, let me teach you, because this can help you in your work that you're doing. And I got that from when I was on a live with Robin. And I said, oh, okay, so this is how it works, because she was saying that she was a teacher one time and that she was the student. And I was like, oh, okay, so that kind of, resonated with me as well. About, the work that you guys all do individually and collaborate together. So, because you and I have even done an event. We've done an event called You Are the Prize, which basically was surrounded around women just feeling like they're the prize.
Absolutely.
And I was thinking about the Cracker Jack box and the box of Cracker Jacks, and how we used to buy it, not just for the popcorn, but we bought it because when we opened the box, the first thing we wanted to do was look for the prize. So be that prize. You are that prize
for yourself first.
So I used, I thought about that, and we did the work around that, and I was like, and that work was so beautiful, and it transformed into something I didn't even think possible, but it still stands with me to this day. And just learning from you is just be authentic.
Absolutely.
And it just you taught me to be authentic, and I appreciate that, because that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Because to be your authentic self is you're exposing yourself.
Absolutely. My motto for living is I expose myself to expand myself. And boy, is it painful. Sometimes when I'm standing before audiences or speaking to people one-on-one, I'm telling them things about myself, and my stomach is churning. And I'm like, why am I saying this? Like, I don't have to out myself here. But in the outing, once again, my expansion happens. And so I tell that story that's painful, that's embarrassing, about things that I've done or said or thought. Even my thinking, it's like I just thought blah, blah, blah. Telling a sister that I was in a space of envying you over something that you had, like saying that out loud, and she has no clue, but I know it's there. And so me outing myself heals me all the time, but sometimes the healing journey is like a sucker punch to the belly.
It is.
So that living from an authentic space is a huge undertaking, but I wouldn't choose it any other way, because I get my life every time I choose to expose myself. So that's what I do.
And that's one of the things that I love is like when you said about being authentic, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, being authentic, and like you said, outing yourself, and there are times where I know that I need to do something, and I agree to do something, and I'll be looking for excuses to get out of it. Like, I don't want to do that. And it's not even that I can't do it. It's just that my own personal whatever, like, I don't want to do that, making excuses for myself. And then I think about, which, you said, be integrity, be keep your word. Your word is your bond. So I try to be like, okay, I said I was going to do it, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And show up and be my authentic self, like you taught me to be. So I've learned so much from you, and you don't even know, like all the things. So I was very glad to have you and to speak with you. To, let everybody know how much you've touched me. Yes. And how much you've shown me, and to be authentic. And
I was gonna say, just what you are offering, and it's so uncomfortable, sis, for me to like receive the acknowledgement, but acknowledgement is part of humanity.
It is.
And then also attribution, like I didn't get here by myself, like on the strength of the teachers, the guides, the sages that have poured into me that I've known, like family members and friends, teachers over the course of my life. And then also the folks who are like, Deepak Chopra and Oprah, like different people who've like paved the way. But they were poured into too. They didn't come here like some people come here and they come here evolved in knowing. But a lot of us, most of us, have been taught by somebody else. So if I don't acknowledge and pay homage to those who have taught me the things that have given me life, then it's disrespectful. That's out of integrity. Right. And so I'm appreciative that you're acknowledging me, and then I also know that I was only able to support you and teach you because someone taught me. So it's each one teach one, and it's just there's synergy, and it just keeps growing and expanding in the universe. So thank you for acknowledging, and I know because of what you say I taught, you're teaching others.
Right, because it's a baton. You have to pass it on. It's not something that you keep it and you hug it like a teddy bear, but then you got to give it to the next person and let them get that same warm, fuzzy feeling you got when you got what you got.
Absolutely.
And everybody might not get it the same thing. You might give it to someone else and they might get something totally different, which is okay because that's what they need. Right. And they're going to get what they need. So we all going to get what we need, but our needs are definitely different.
So true.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I can't, if anybody asks me what you do, I can't really say, I just say, like I said earlier, you do work.
Yes.
You work. You do work. And it's like, I sometimes reach out to you and you'll get back to me eventually, but I was like, I don't take it no kind of way. I'm like, she's busy. I get it. We both creatives and we're creating and we're doing and we're mentoring and, being authentic and passing that authenticity to others and showing them the life of this is how it looks when you are authentic.
Yes. The other thing that came to mind, because when I walked into the space and saw what the setup, like what you created, I was like, oh my gosh, she has so many gifts. And, like you said, we're creative, so how we see stuff. Libras are just aesthetic people. Like, we want color and vibrancy.
Yeah, we do.
Flow.
We do.
And what came to me was like, Danielle is an interior designer. And I don't mean that by just physical space. I mean interior designer. Like the food, like they're helping us to eat healthfully so that we can grow and expand and be nourished in a different way, but then also how you speak to people, because Libras are communicators. And then,
yes, we are.
Yeah, and then what you create in physical space is part of it too, because that invigorates people, like all these colors and this vibrancy, it gives life. So if you come in here down, you're like, oh my God, look at the orange peels and look at all of this beautiful fruit. Like these colors give life. So you're definitely, we're interior designers, and I love that we offer that to the world.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, you're like an architect, and you're, you show people how to build the life that they want.
Yes, that's my desire, and I get my life from doing that. That's what's so great about it, like the reciprocity.
Yeah, and like you talked about, humility and being humble, and I and I know you're flawed and all, but I don't see those flaws. But I see you. I mean, I don't see none of the flaws. I see like, I just see you in this whole doing the work.
Yeah, I do the work so that that stuff that's inside of me, that I'm making this grit. Like there's a part of me that's like, ugh, and it's an old part of me, like my little girl self that was in pain. And for self-protection, like she's like, shh. Right. And every now and then she's like, don't go there, don't say that, don't do this, from that little girl's voice. And Lord knows I don't want a 6-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old run in my life, because that little girl back then was just a terror. Right. And you're just in a lot of pain. And so I absolutely, in my flaws, like, you know, stuff bubbles up in me, things trigger me back to, you know, old times, and then I act out. But I'm so grateful that the acting out moments are shorter. Like, I'll catch myself, I'll be in it for a few minutes, sometimes a day, and I'm like, come out of that, because there's only darkness in that space.
Right.
You know, so I definitely haven't arrived, never want to. I always say I never want to get grown. I want to leave this earth always expanding, like up until the last day. But yeah, there are definitely darker sides of myself. They're shrinking every day, but they're there, and they tap me on the shoulder every now and then to remind me there's more work to do.
Right.
You know? And you know who gets it the most is my maternal side of my family. They see the darker side of me more than anybody on the planet. You know, it's sad. I'm sorry, fam, but yeah, my belly, I'm like, ugh. Yeah, so I'm doing that work so I can let stuff go and stop blaming and being in story about them.
Right. Yeah, because you talked about your relationship, like, you know, with your mom and your sisters and everybody, and how you know, and you even said that's the story I was telling myself. You said that, and I was just like,
I mean, stuff happened, but the crap I made up is extra. It's like extra drama.
Right.
You know, making up a story that's in my book, my mother being a monster. Like that's what I would tell people. My mother's a monster. There's no good in my mother. And I'm like, are you kidding me? First and foremost, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the blessing of that womb space.
Right.
And then I look like her. Her voice is deeper than mine, but the resonance of her voice, I hear my own voice, and as I age, I'm like, oh gosh, there's my mom, like facial expressions and different things. I'm like, be compassionate, especially as a mom, because mothers get blamed for a lot of shit. Excuse me, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you can say that.
But it is unfair. Like, we get blamed for how your life doesn't go, or we barely get credit for when things do go well. But, you know, it's a lot to be a mom. So to be blaming my mother and judging my mother about her humanity, especially when she gave birth to me when she was a girl, 16, is not fair. It's like, and it doesn't allow me to own my own stuff, because I can't keep I'm 49. I can't blame my mother for the stuff that doesn't work in my life and the choices that I made, you know? So that's why I'm working on it, but still, I'm like, I get triggered, you know?
So, you're newly a grandmother.
Yes.
And, because this is what when I found that you was going to be a grandmother, you were very very, and I was just like, why are you so stoic? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna, I'm getting some shoes or something. Like, you weren't like, well, I don't know, I guess you were processing it.
Girl, please. So many levels. Like I said, that side of me that's ego-based, that's, what word do I want to use? That's low vibrational. So I'm like, I don't want to be anybody's grandmother yet. Like, I'm still discovering who I am as mother and as just woman. And then, I teach about the phases of womanhood. So the maiden, the mother, and the crone. I'm like, that's crone energy. Crone is like the twilight of your life. I'm like,
absolutely.
I'm not ready for that. I'm like, and what's this baby going to be calling me? And, and then my daughter, like, just thinking about her and where she, how her life was going to shift. So, but it was mainly about me, just keeping it real.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't prepared. So I just had another vision for her, for me, like the timing. And I'm like, fall back. Like, everything is in universal and divine timing. So, and that baby girl has just given to my life, like, I'm a mother and I love being a mother, but a grandma, like the way she acts with me and watching my daughter parent her is so divine.
Yes.
So I'm grateful, but it took a minute for me to roll on into gratitude.
The first one is always that way. I was like, because I found myself saying, when my son told me, I was like, no! And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, and I said it out loud. I was like, no! But then I was like, I caught myself like, how would you say that to him? Like, because I was making it about me. And I said, okay, because it's not about you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, he's responsible for this being, not you.
That's right.
If you comfortable with how you parented your son, just know your grandbaby's in good hands. Ashe, what does that mean?
And so it is. It's like amen. And it comes out of me naturally, and I forget sometimes to explain.
I kind of figured out that's what it meant. But
I would have told you.
But I was just like, when you, I was like, I have to ask her, what does that mean?
It's
what
like,
does it? Yeah, true. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Because I like the sound of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it resonates with me and who I am.
Yeah.
So I needed to know what that meant.
Absolutely. Okay.
Because I see I'm gravitating towards that
energy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That energy. So when I hear the word ashe, I'm like, yeah, I love that word. Because my granddaughter, she had a recital, and they were saying ashe, ashe.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh
yeah.
my word.
That's
So
right.
I was like, but I didn't even know what it meant. But
your
I
spirit
knew,
knows.
Yeah, my spirit knew clearly, but I didn't really know. But it was like, yeah. But yeah, I just like that. That I'm glad you are embracing the grandmother
yes.
thing.
It's a beautiful journey. It really is. I discover something new every time I'm with her, and just watching the growth. And like I said, the biggest thing is I mothered this child, meaning my daughter, and now she's mothering a child. And
to watch that is amazing, because you're looking like, and just to know that they know what to do.
Yes. And my
Because
daughter is on it. And I taught her what to do and what not to do, just keeping it real.
Right.
And we talk about that very openly, how much I was working in their formative years.
Right.
I was in school, pursuing my education, and then working jobs that were very labor intensive, because I've always worked with the community.
Right.
And then also populations where there were very much challenges around substance abuse, mental health stuff. So they were like always like, and then my church life, like when I was involved with organized church, I was involved, like, traveling around the country and, performing and doing different things. So my daughters were all in that. So they missed some opportunities to be with me without other people being in the mix. So, my daughter, she's very present. She thinks about, she's an entrepreneur, so thinks about how much time she spends working as opposed to with her daughter. And I love that I modeled something for her to look at. Even though it was low vibrational, she was like, I'm looking at this. This didn't work for us. And so I'm going to do something different.
Right, and that's something that being a mother, when I first became a mother, it's like some of the things that I didn't care for that my mother did, I just decided to not, to chuck it away. Like, that's not going to work for my situation.
Right. It's slippery though.
It is.
Because the reason why I say that is that if the not doing is based on judgment of what someone did or didn't do, then it has low vibration. So I had to really, my daughter has to be present to the fact that it's not about blame or judgment. It's like information.
Right.
So that's the adjustment that I always have to make, because I'll get on my high horse about what my mother did and didn't do. And I'm just like, if I didn't have the mother that I have, I would not be the healer that I am. Amen. If I didn't have the father, if I didn't have the father that I had, who died when I was 3 from his chemical dependency, if he was around every day in my growing up, I wouldn't be the same person. I probably would have been devastated by that. So it actually is a gift that he passed. And people hear me saying that, and they're like, what? I'm like, I'm so serious that I got the life that I was supposed to get. And my father died when I was 3, and that was part of
He brought you
divine,
there. That was his
ordination. Yeah. He did his job. So that's where I'm at with this. So I'm like, how I look at the life, the history, the story can either have integrity or not integrity. So I'm like, even me saying, oh, I'm not going to do what they did, it's like, watch the judgment, because you could easily be in their shoes,
Right.
So,
right.
It's hard,
I get that.
though.
Yeah,
it's hard.
I get that. And to have that conversation with, with your daughter, like, and it's like, well, what did I do or what you didn't do?
It's tough, because
you hear, you gotta.
I did. It is tough, and I see her shifting, because now that she's a mom, watching the dynamic. The baby's only 1. She's 18 months, but my daughter is like, she gets that we project so much blame, even the baby being stubborn and doing what she does. It's deep.
Yeah, so, we say, oh, you get that from your so-and-so. And not saying that that's just how they are.
Right.
But it's been done so much generational that it's ingrained in us to place the blame and say, oh, yeah, well, you get that from your father, you get that from your, we've been taught to do that.
Judge and blame.
Yeah, so, we have to come out of that, to start breaking those, like you said, when you work with the women, the generational curses, and you do work around that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Just looking at how I'm a cycle breaker for my own family, like with mental illness and chemical dependency, like my children and my siblings' children are choosing something different. So being aware of mental health issues in the family, which it was taboo to talk about them before, and it's like, oh, Uncle Bubba's in the back room howling at the moon, but nobody mentions that. Like, you hear, no, we don't hear nothing. Like, yeah, act like it hasn't happened. Right. And on my mother's side of the family, there's a lot of mental health issues with bipolar, clinical depression. Also, when we have babies, the women, we have postpartum depression sometimes leads to psychosis, which is severe. And my daughter, when she had her baby, because I've talked about it so much, she was like, I need to make sure that I'm aware and conscious of the possibility of depression. And so that was a live conversation in our life, and in our lives, and has been. And so it didn't happen with her. And addiction, like my daughters have never used drugs, and they're just, the awareness is so high that we've broken a chain with regard to our ancestral. I won't call it a legacy, but you call it a curse, but just the dynamics that exist in our clan have been broken in this generation, their generation.
Right, the dynamics that exist in our clans. Yeah. It sounds better than
I'm cursed. Yeah. I'm doomed. But it feels like that. It can feel like that. Yeah. Mental health issue. Yeah. People on drugs, and during the 80s with the crack epidemic. Right. Family members being suicidal, being violent. That shit hurts. Right. And so I can see how it is viewed as a curse. Right. And I'm also present to, if my family wasn't this way, I wouldn't be the healer that I am. Just the same thing that I said about my mom and my dad. Right. So I accept it, but I don't have to live that. Right.
But how is your relationship with your mother today?
My relationship with my mother is, I think this season is more challenging because my mother, I'm feeling like she's reverting back to old ways of being and or witnessing that, and it's painful because she came such a long way in her recovery process. And so, when anyone, myself included, starts reverting back to ways of being that are actually not balanced, it's painful. And so I've chosen to kind of take a step back, but do it in love. Like, you don't have to be in somebody's face. I can love her. Or bringing that energy. Like, I can love her from a distance so that the toxicity or things that are going on, because I'm hugely intuitive and sensitive to energy. So when my mother or any family or people are off balance, I absorb
it.
Yeah.
That's what I keep telling people, that I absorb people's energy, so I'm very protective of mine. Yes. And it's not like I don't want to interact with people. It's not that at all. And it's not like that I'm an introvert, because I'm very outgoing. Yeah. But it's just that I have to protect my energy, because we as Libras, we absorb people. I don't know about other Libras, but I know me. When you said that, it just I felt it, because I know that's how I am. Yeah. When people have like I had an ex that was always angry, and I couldn't. It would automatically just ruffle my feathers. Like, why are you mad about everything? Like, and I just didn't want to be around them. Sure. Because I was absorbing that. So I don't want to be around that kind of energy.
Right. And how I have to be careful is I'm in spaces with women and men talking about mental health stuff, spiritual stuff. Like, so that's in the space already, like people's pain. Right. And because I'm very, very sensitive to that, I have to cover myself before I go into spaces, and I don't always remember to do it. Like, you talked about Robin, or I call her Robin, earlier. She gets on me all the time. She was like, wrap your head, wear lighter colors. I'll walk in a space and be decked in black, and like, she was like, you cannot do that, because you're an absorber of all of that. Just like black absorbs light and heat, it absorbs energy that's off too. So I'm like, okay, I have to listen. And sometimes I'll leave spaces and I'm like, I feel so depressed and I feel so drained. And it's because I took in the energy. And like, sometimes I'm in space and this place is like 1,000 daggone people. That's a lot. So I have to take spiritual baths. I have to release. I have to meditate. And when I don't do it, I'm out of integrity, I end up starting to feel sick. And because I have a history of depression that has been ignited by giving birth to children, I have to be really careful, because I can go into a depression. And then I also have seasonal depression. So when it starts to get darker and stay darker in the season of the fall and winter, I have to be careful of my energy, because I can go into a dark space. So, it's no joke.
Wow, we're a lot. Yeah. We're a lot alike with, even with fighting depression. It's like, I try to have a formula that works for me.
You have to.
You have to have a game plan, because you can't. It's like going down a hill. Sometimes you get to stop yourself.
Right. And then sometimes you roll.
And sometimes you gotta roll with it and just roll and just see what happens when you get to the bottom, because you know, but you get to the bottom, you don't sit in it, you kind of get yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep it moving. That's how I look at it.
Yes.
So, I get that. I get that.
And you spoke about partners earlier. You were saying about you were with someone that was very angry. I talk to women all the time. It's like you can't lay with somebody whose energy is off. So it's not just being in communication with them. What they're injecting inside of you can make you toxic, meaning biological, like their biochemistry. Sometimes people, we're not aligned biochemically with them, but the energy too. It's like, I'm gonna lay with you. We're like a plug. I'm like, and I'm just not being graphic, but it's like you lay with somebody, they enter you and they enter you, you know, and if you're not careful, you will be off for as long as you're with that person. So we have to really be careful about who we align ourselves with as far as intimate partnerships, friendships too. I'm talking about the lovers in our lives. Don't always mean us well energetically.
You know? You're absolutely right. So when you finally get, like me, I finally got somebody who's all happy go lucky and it's like, oh, okay, hey, it's like
calm down.
It's like, you know, even when they're going through bad stuff, they still have this optimistic outlook on the perspective of it. And it's like, you know, I think that me doing the work on me allowed me to be receptive to somebody like that. You know, and a lot of it was I had to learn to use my tools to fight the depression, because sometimes I was allowing myself to wallow too long.
He can't even relate to that because that's like not even his thing, you know. He's not. He would. He'd be like, nah. Come out of that.
And it's like, you know, you will, as a person, you will want to come out of it. You won't want to stay in that space. You know. So we're so much more alike than I actually thought. I'm like, wow. You said a lot of stuff. I'm like, wow. We lived together, so we the same our whole life. Like, you just telling my whole story right here.
That's how it works, though.
It's just being plugged into someone and absorbing it. And once I realized that I absorb people's energy, I became very protecting of my energy.
As you should. I don't know why it's coming to mind, but I pay attention when I'm getting nudges about stuff. But I was in a relationship with someone who was very emotionally cut off. So, I speak a lot about emotional intelligence. Like, we don't use all of our intelligences to navigate life. We're like really operating in this half-witted space. So we concentrate on just the cognitive, what I think. But emotions and spirit, like our spiritual intelligence, those are necessary to navigate relationships. And so I was with someone who was an intellectual genius. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. Like, what genius had a photographic memory. And Libras love the talk and the intellect. I was like so in love, like that mental masturbation, you know, that I was like, oh, like this is great. However, he was emotionally unavailable. And that was like killing me.
Dying, I love death inside.
I'm like, he didn't like to kiss. We are grown folks. He didn't like oral sex. He's like, no, I don't do everything. Like, I'm like, no, I can't do this. And then thinking about settling because he's so smart and he's a good person. I'm like, hell to the no. I need intimacy. You know, so don't settle, ladies and gentlemen, because it's not worth it. It really is. You will kill off your essence if you settle.
You will. Dead?
Hey, tell it.
You know, and it's so disheartening to when you have to come to the realization of, this is not going to work for me. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this for the rest of my life, my time here on earth. And it's not even worth. Once you know, it's just, you have to cut and just keep it moving.
And people say, it's a Southern saying, when you know better, you'll do better. I say, hell no. When you do better, you do better. Because we can know. Like, I was so clear. I'm intuitive. I'm like, no, I'll make it work. I'll convince him. He'll start kissing me. He'll change his mind. No. This is who he is. And he showed you. When they tell you, and this is not my saying, it's said a lot, and it can be cliche, but it's like, believe them when they tell you who they are. Believe them, but I'm like, no, I can fix it. No. Arrogance. Like I said, be humble, be present to what reality is. Like, I was so in unreality with regard to him. And I was just like, can I survive? And I'm using this like survive, being in a relationship with somebody who's so disconnected with the physical body and what intimacy truly is. Like, I can't be rocking with your talk all the time. No.
Right.
You know, you gotta, the intimacy, with I love this, it's not mine either, but into me see. If I can't see into you, I don't want to be with you. So, you know, that had to end. I tried, but I was out. I'm like, deuces. Maybe somebody else is cool with this.
Right. That's yeah, wow, we have a lot of same experiences.
That's why we gotta talk to each other, meaning people in general, but us of course too.
Yeah, we can't get so caught up in
the work that we forget to connect with each other.
Yeah, we can't allow that to continue to happen. Because like you and I we're always working.
Yeah.
When we see each other, we're always
in workspace.
Workspace. We get to talk for a little while, but it's work.
Yeah.
So I know that was gonna happen. Yeah, just gotta stop that. Yeah. But wow. I'm sitting here like really floored, like we've been going through the same thing, like a whole lot of the same type of. But what do you want to see? Where do you want to see yourself in a couple of years?
Oh my goodness, I have such big plans for just the vision for the work. So my purpose is to utilize the word in all forms to ignite mind, body, spirit transformation across the planet. Like, that's my purpose on the planet. I'm so clear, and I work with women to make sure that they can declare what their purpose is just as clearly. And because of that declaration, that end piece across the planet, like, I haven't been my word. I do work on the Eastern Corridor. I travel sometimes, in the United States, but I haven't done work abroad like I've given my word to. So I really want to have an impact on women that, especially that are part of the diasporic experience, women in Africa.
Right.
So I can support them in their evolution and also be fed by them because they know some things that I absolutely don't know by being a part of this whole system of the United States. And being a New Yorker, like, this is a whole energy that's different than any other place on the planet. So, my vision is to travel abroad and to learn, to be part of cultures where I can learn how to heal in ways that have nothing to do with what I've been taught. Just to expand my, my viewpoint, my worldview. Also, I want to certify women, and I'm going to, in the systems that I've created for rites of passage. So my program, Be the Tree. The women that graduate from the program, I want to and will develop leaders that can lead the program so that there'll be satellites for Be the Tree throughout the country and abroad. So I don't have to be everywhere leading these sessions because it stays very small when I keep it, like you talked about, holding something so close to yourself. Like, this vision is not mine. I'm the conduit. Right. And so training and developing women so that they can, lead in other spaces, the Be the Tree program is something that's in my spirit. And then for me, property ownership, so that I can have land of my own to continue the legacy for my family, and then also have property where women can come and men to retreat and to heal, whether it's yoga or I do psychodrama, just different things that I can offer to the public so that they can transform and heal and discover their innate power as individuals on the planet. So that's the vision. And to be in a love relationship that's juicy. I don't have to worry about getting my needs met. Right. And the person will be younger, because just straight talk, no offense to the brothers that are older, but I'm just not attracted to them. Like, I'm not. So I'm a vibrant being, and so I want vibrancy and youthfulness. And as far as my love life, like, I want to be fed in that way, and I deserve that. And I don't usually say that out loud, but I'm just really clear that that's what's for me. So that's the journey for me, a part of it, and then writing more books. And
how young?
At least 5 to 10 years younger. But it has to be mature.
I'm not mad.
I'll be 50 in October, so. And on the inside, I'm like, I'm 50. Like, I don't feel that age.
Right, I don't either.
So
it's like, okay.
I'm like, so why I gotta rock with that?
Right, right, a 50-year-old.
And when 50 is great, but when I meet men in my age group, they old and tired to me. They're not taking care of themselves. stuff is hanging low and it's just not a good look.
Yeah,
so
not working and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like that number 2 pencil that's down like to another. Bro, I don't want you. You are now a little. You done sharpened yourself down to a nub with no eraser. What the hell am I doing with you?
And they take really good care of themselves.
But yeah, there are good dudes out there that's like, no, hey, shouts to you guys that's really taking care of yourself. But I get that.
Yeah, I want vibrancy. I want to travel. I want you to be able to get up and go. You're not stuck anywhere. You're not afraid of my power, because that's another thing that I get, that, you know, the intimidation and stuff like that. So, and then also just me knowing that I have to allow for the care, because chivalry is a two-way street. So I'm not attached to, oh, a man has to be chivalrous. Women need to be chivalrous too.
Absolutely.
Just like what you're doing, like who you are as a creator, like nourishing men and stuff. And I don't mean that from you're a female doing this, but I'm just saying being chivalrous means that when you work a long day and you're in need of nourishment, like I have it for you.
Right.
Nourishment can be a massage or just, you know, how you doing, a hug.
Right.
You know, so what I want for myself is to keep growing in that area so that I can be a mate to somebody that is aligned with what he needs too. I'm not being selfish. Like it's a two-way. I shave 3 to 10 times. So he can be.
That's gonna be my new word that I'm adopting. Ashe.
That's right.
Ashe. I love that word. You know, like I said, I love the sound of it.
Yes.
Yeah, it
so
resonates.
As much as you can.
Yeah, it resonates with me. Deep down inside. But I wish you to have a mate and all the things that you want to do with your organization. You
Spirit of a Woman.
Yeah, Spirit of a Woman. You do great work, and I've had the opportunity to feed off of that work that you do.
Yeah,
and it's great work, and it's like so enlightening, and it just takes you to a whole different place.
Yeah, and that
with you.
Me too. Yes.
With yourself.
With other people, with myself. Yeah. I love that I get to do work where I'm getting something out of it too, because a lot of times we give, but definitely from the work, I show up and use the tools that I teach. Like I have to keep it fresh and current in my life so that I can have integrity when I'm talking to women about their journeys, and men too.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So today we having shrimp tacos. Yeah. I don't know if you eat.
Yes, I'm a pescatarian.
Yes,
so
I know that.
Yeah.
One thing about when people tell me about food,
you never forget it.
I don't
That's
forget
beautiful.
it. I don't forget that. I might forget your name.
But I know what food you eat.
Yeah,
right?
I might forget your birthday, but I know what you said you do eat and you don't eat. So I'm very much aware of that part of it.
That's really cool. That's a gift.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, because we were texting, and I said, so aren't you? I asked you about your, your dietary. You was like, no, I'm pretty cool. I eat everything. I was like, well, I thought you was a pescatarian. You was like, yeah, you're right. I am a pescatarian.
Yeah, no, I go places sometimes and there's nothing to eat.
Really?
It's filled with so much stuff and everything's cooked with meat, and so I just sit. I'm like, I guess I'll be eating rice. But are you sure no meat is there?
Right. So you how long have you been a pescatarian?
Oh my goodness. 10 years a pescatarian. How many years? Since 1994, I gave up pork and beef, and then I did a 10-day liquid fast. And then after I came off of it, I was like, I'm not eating. This is flesh too, but not chicken and turkey. I took that out of my diet as well. And I'm contemplating fish because it has so much mercury and other things in it that I'm wavering about whether I'm going to continue with that. Being healthy as far as food is expensive. It's very costly to live like that. So, buying fish that isn't processed with chemicals and stuff like that, it takes
it's very expensive.
Resources to do that.
It does. Yeah. It certainly does.
Even the vegetables and stuff too. It's a lot. Like you get an organic peach, it's totally different than buying a peach that's just been grown like every other peach.
Right.
It's
totally different.
Yeah.
But it's expensive.
Yeah, definitely is. And I know that how I eat impacts how I show up in my healing work too.
Right.
So when my diet is off, I'm not as intuitive.
Right.
Just straight to fatigue. So, I have to definitely have this align with my journey, the food business.
Yeah, but I'm really excited about, you know, your future, what you
thank
want
you.
to do. I know that, and I was just, you know, myself was thinking about the other day. I was like, I want land,
Yes.
and I want to grow, you know, food, and I want to. My goal is to go to North Carolina and purchase land and to grow certain foods and use that food for my business.
Sure.
But I want to, the community in which I go into, I want to help that community and create jobs for that community.
So they'll work the land, like
right? They'll work the land, exactly, and create that, because there are a lot of small towns in the South that people are really struggling. Struggling to eat.
Right. To live
struggling
healthfully.
to live, just, you know, just to live an everyday life, normal life. So that's what my goal is, to get land. And, you know, I should think about it. I'm like, oh, it seems like it's so not possible. But the other day I said to myself, it's possible, and I will do it.
Yes.
And I want to do that, and then, you know, ship my stuff here, and also have a space here where people are making with that fruit, and I'm creating jobs here.
That's wonderful.
You know, I don't want to just go into a community and siphon money out of it and don't give back to that community.
Yes.
I don't think anyone should do that.
It's so interesting, the parallels with our visions, because I want land upstate, so at least 2 hours away, so that I can have the ability to come back and forth between the 5 boroughs and upstate. I want to be very, very specific. I don't know who's watching. Don't be, you know, raining on my parade. I say it and we laugh, but it's like some people you can't tell your vision.
That's why I was very evasive a little bit about exactly what I want to do, because it's like people will.
And it's not even conscious. They're like, she can't do that, or he can't. Like, their own low vibrational lack consciousness gets in the way of your vision for yourself and your dreams for your future, and can't have that. So all I'm going to say is that I want to create a space where there's ease and lightness with travel, and you know, having a space that's here in the community, because I love this city. The city is cruel and it's heavy sometimes, but it's also so full of so many pathways to what you want, you know, what I want. So I definitely want the access. So, and I have to be in nature. I'll just say that part. I have to be in nature. Like, being in the concrete jungle, it's taxing on my spirit. So I have to be able to escape, be near water, be, you know, on land where I can touch my feet to soil and trees, and then come back when I'm replenished so I can do the work. That's how I feel when I go south.
I get to regroup myself, refresh and recharge, and then I come back and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm
ready for the world. So they weigh you out again. You're like, oh, I go back. Doesn't take long.
So you eat sour cream?
Yes, a little bit I'll take. I'm trying to like do less with the dairy, but I love it, so I'm allergic to it, but I still partake. Not the best thing.
Cool. So today we were eating shrimp tacos with a mango salsa and sour cream. A lot of people make their tacos different. I don't like the lettuce.
A whole lot of stuff.
I just like, because this is made by me, the salsa is made, I like the taste and the way it complements the shrimp, and a little bit of sour cream, and just...
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all you need.
I will take a fork because I'm ready to dive in.
This was great, really, having you. I was really, you know, glad that you were available.
Yes, me too.
To come by, and we, especially in a space that we both are members of, and we utilize the space, and you know, the energy here is really like homey, and it's very inviting, and I just, you know, I definitely love this space. I don't know why I didn't start out in this space, but I just thought I saw a different vision. I didn't think it was going to look the way that I wanted it to look, but it did.
You are a miracle maker, so you can make whatever. Remember, interior design, literally and figuratively. So I'm not, when I came out, I was like, of course she did that, you know? Nobody would know. And most of the sets that, like, what's her name, Wendy and other folks use are like, so small, and,
you know,
realize you think it's this expansive space and it's all decked out, but it really isn't.
I was telling Christina earlier, I said, I cannot wait till I get my show, and then I can have my set built out. It's gonna be all, you know. And I'm speaking that to an existence. Ashe, you know, I'm speaking that into existence. Like, this is what I want for myself.
Yeah, and you'll have it. You know.
Yeah.
But just don't be telling the people who the haters. Any haters, mind your business.
Yeah, you gotta protect your dreams from dream killers.
And you know, because you're on Facebook Live a lot, I think about that often. I said some people watching don't necessarily mean us well. I'm not gonna focus on them, but I'm like, this is deep. Or even intellectual property, like we give so much away. So I'm trying to be more responsible with how much I share. Like I'm generous, but don't be foolish, right?
Right.
You know, so just thinking from that concept, as I grow up, continue to grow up.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
So I'm grateful.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness,
I really love you. You are awesome. And I've learned so much from you, and it's like just to see you, like I feel like you're my sister, because we're like Libra sisters, and we are like sisters in so many different ways.
Because we say so.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's gonna dispute that?
That's right. That's right.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Talking with Your Mouthful with Shawnee Benton-Gibson. Yes, I don't use the surnames, but I just know this is Shawnee.
That's right.
Yeah, this is my Shawnee, and thank you so much for tuning in,
My
and thank
pleasure.
you so much for coming through. And it's
Thank
been
you.
great having
And
you.
for the
This is I've been fed.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I'm about to get fed again. So thank you all for tuning in.
You're welcome.
All right,
Thank you.
you.